Will AI replace software engineers? I've spent over 2 years in the IT industry, but back when I had started, we didn't really have the fear of AI taking our jobs. In the first year of IT experience, I never thought that AI will take my job. But when I was in my first year of IT experience, ChatGPT came into picture. And slowly there were so many AI tools that were taking over. After ChatGPT, we had Gemini, then we had Perplexity. We, of course, had AI coding assistants like GitHub Copilot. We had Claude, we had Bolt, we also had Cursor. And now, this discussion of whether AI will take the jobs of software engineers is at the peak. But will AI really replace you? So hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Aishwarya Parab and today I'm going to share my take, my opinion on whether AI will actually replace you. Because there are so many YouTube videos, there are so many articles and so many LinkedIn posts on this debate, and there are new engineers coming into market who are fearing whether to learn certain technologies or no, because eventually if their skills are to be replaced by AI, then why will they waste their precious time into learning something? And today I'm going to share my take on it after having first-hand experience in the IT industry, after working with different organizations, and I will be therefore able to tell you whether AI can truly replace you or no. So without wasting any further time, I will give you my answer and then you can decide whether you want to watch the other part of the video or no. The answer is AI will replace some of your jobs, especially those who are at low level, for example junior software engineers or just software engineers. So if you fall in these roles, then AI can easily replace your job role. But any organization will require a CTO in the future. Any organization will require a product manager to think from the user's perspective, to think from the product perspective. When it comes to managing a project, any organization will also require a project manager. And apart from that, senior engineers will always be needed in an organization because engineers are the ones who have first hand experience in working with performance optimization, in working with how to design a particular system, which tech stack is best for which use case. Of course, AI can give answers to all of these, but engineers have experience and that experience matters a lot. And I feel at least for the next 10 years, AI will grow, AI will improve, and currently whatever results AI is giving, in the next 10 years AI will improve those results for sure. But people like CTOs, product managers, project managers, senior software engineers, tech leads, team leads, project leads are irreplaceable. These people won't be replaced, and of course I'm not saying that all of these people having such job roles won't be replaced. Only those people who are irreplaceable and who are indispensable won't be replaced by AI. Now, this is a new word for you. What is the meaning of indispensable? Please search on Google and find out. It's a very, very good word, and it's something that people want to be. People want to be indispensable because when you are indispensable to a particular organization, only then will you be irreplaceable, and therefore AI or any other agent won't be able to replace you. So the answer is pretty simple. If you want to stay in the IT industry and if you want to build great products and get yourself associated with great companies, then you will have to be great. You will have to be irreplaceable and you will have to be indispensable. If you want to focus on this ideology a little more, I would recommend a book called as Lynchpin, which is written by Seth Godin. I read it recently and it changed my mindset because it talks about how our parents used to work for a living, because that time there was less money in the economy and they knew that they had to take a job and provide livelihood to their children and their family. But now there's more money in the economy, but there's less job security. Back then, job security was a lot more than what we have today. That's why we have to find other ways in which we can grow, other ways of making money, and other ways of being skillful. Just doing your job right won't take you long, because this economy of course has more money to pay, but it will only pay those people who give more than what they have and who will imagine unimaginable things. So I would say definitely give this book a try. It's called Lynchpin by Seth Godin. So coming back to the topic, I was talking about how you can be irreplaceable or indispensable so that AI doesn't replace you in the future. Or let's say you become so powerful that no one, no other entity can replace you in the future. Because trust me, now there's AI. After 5 years, there will be something else that will be running after you. Life is not so easy. Some or the other obstacle will always be there in your life. Right now, it is you not getting a job or you being unemployed. After 5 years, maybe you'll have a job, but there'll be certain uncertainty in your life that will keep you restless. So something or the other will always be after you. But if you want to rise above and if you don't want to face fear in the coming future, then one thing that you have to do is find ways to be irreplaceable. And I'm repeating these things again and again because these are the only ways to be successful in your career. And to do just this, there are three ways that I have found by which you can be irreplaceable. Number one, choose the right company. Yes, choose the right company, because many a times we work so hard and we prepare so hard that someone else should choose us. We prepare harder during our interviews so that a company should choose us. But firstly, ask yourself whether you belong to that company. And it's very important. Let's take the less traveled route. Now, what do I mean by choosing the right company, and how do you figure out whether this particular company is good for me? Imagine this. You have thousands of people working along with you, and of course you will work hard in your job, but there are other thousands of people working hard at their jobs as well. Now, when the company has to lay off a few individuals, whom will it lay off? Answer is very simple: anyone and everyone, because everyone is working hard, everyone is working hard in their departments. Of course, their team knows who has great talents, but the company doesn't know. The company doesn't care what your team feels. The company doesn't care what your manager feels, whether your manager is good with you or bad with you. To some extent, your manager can save you, but I have seen situations wherein your manager doesn't have any power to save you, no matter how great relationship you have with your manager. If a company or if a CTO or CEO decides that he wants to fire people, they will fire people nonetheless. So it's very important that you work in an organization wherein, rather than working with thousands of other engineers, you work with only a few hundreds or maybe a few tens of engineers. In that way, your impact is more. No one can fire you because they know what your worth is. If they fire you, then they will have to train another resource on the same technology. You have been working on a particular product, let's say, and if they fire you today, then they will have to train someone who will be working on that product, and that will be very, very difficult. On the other hand, if there are hundreds of people, thousands of people working on the same product, it's very easy to cut the size of that team by two. So when I say choose the right company, I mean choose a team which has very few people working on that particular product. And this is something that I've experienced firsthand. My first company was a company wherein there were many people who were hired along with me, and I knew that anytime even I could get laid off if the company decided to do so, because I was working hard. I knew that I was giving good results, and I knew that I was giving my best. But I also knew that my friends were also doing the same thing. They were in different teams and they were also driving innovative solutions. So if I could get fired, even they could get fired. And if they could get fired, then even, of course, I could get fired. After that, I switched my company and now I work in a very close knit team. I'm the only developer in that team, and I know that it's very difficult for me now to get fired. Of course, the probability is less. I can any day get fired if the economy completely crashes, but the probability is less. And your work should be to minimize this probability of getting laid off or of getting fired. And that can only happen if you have greater impact through your coding skills. So if you are the only one working on something, of course the pressure will be higher, but in your initial years or in your initial days of your career, it's fine if you take that pressure. Okay, I'm not saying completely mess up your work life balance, but I'm just saying that in your initial years, in your initial 2-3 years, it's fine if you take that high pressure and learn a lot. Then you can also reach the level of a CTO in another organization. And CTOs are built in this way. They are not built by just doing their job and keeping quiet. You will become a CTO if you go beyond whatever is assigned to you, beyond the tasks that are assigned to you in Jira. So make sure that you choose the right company. Make a list of companies who are currently growing and wherein you can make an impact through your coding skills, and not just become a part of any other company that is just hiring in thousands and millions and billions. The second way of being indispensable is becoming the master of one skill. And this is something many people should understand, because I've seen so many individuals having a breadth level understanding of everything. See, it's important to know everything. It's important to know bits and pieces of front end, back end, AI, ML, DevOps. I get it. But look at it from an organization's perspective. An organization will not mind hiring two people rather than one, if they get that expertise on table. For example, if I hire a front-end developer, then I'm pretty sure that that front-end developer will know anything and everything about front-end development. When it comes to increasing the performance on the front end, that front end developer will help me. When it comes to compressing assets and making sure that everything is preloaded, prefetched, and cached really well, the front end developer will help me to do this. The front end developer will not have to waste time in research because this is something that he or she should know. On the other hand, if I hire a backend developer, of course, I can be assured that the backend developer will not just create the right routes, but also take care of security in picture. So when I hire people who are experts in their industry, I have to be rest assured about other things. But if I hire a full stack developer, that full stack developer knows a little about front end, knows a little about back end, and it can so happen that that full stack developer may not be the best in both the domains. So make sure that before becoming a full stack developer, you at least hone one skill. Either you can be good at front end or you can be good at back end. And I'm saying good, but you need to be the best in either front end or back end and then dive into full stack. I'm not saying that don't be a full stack developer. I really believe that you need to be both. You need to know concepts of front end and back end as well. But before becoming full stack, master one. And master isn't truly master, because your expertise will take you a long way and you cannot be an expert in multiple things. You can only be an expert in one thing. So make sure you master that one skill such that if anyone has any problem in that particular domain, they know that you're the go-to person for it. You should be the go-to person in that domain. Only then can you call yourself a master in that skill. The third way and the most important way to be indispensable is to build extensively. Build projects, build products, and build things that are not there on YouTube. Of course, use YouTube to build your initial projects, because there are many people saying that don't build clone projects, don't build clones of popular websites. But how will beginners get started, right? You're a beginner, and if you want to get started with React or if you want to get started with Node, I think any project would do, whether it's a clone project or whether it's a simple interview based project. You don't need to worry about that. If you're just getting started, if you're a beginner, I would recommend build clone projects and learn the best practices that the YouTuber or the teacher is following in that particular video. Do that. After you're done with that, come up with your ideas. For example, my family has a lot of FDs, and we lost track of the number of FDs that we had. We were not really notified on time, and therefore we also lost on a lot of maturity dates. That's when I decided of building my own FD tracker app, which would be used by my own family, having a login system, wherein only we can log in. So this is like a simple example of how you can build products that will help you. If you're someone who wants to track your expenses, you can also build an expense tracker. Now I know that there are many expense tracker apps and websites already available, but think about it. If you're using your own expense tracker app that takes care of your own data in your own database, it would be a great thing, right? And it would also be a great project to showcase on your portfolio, because you're not just doing it for the sake of it, you're doing it for yourself, for your personal use, and that adds a lot of value. So create projects and create those projects that come from your ideas. Think from your brain. Your brain is very powerful. Think what you need. And let me tell you one thing, there are so many problems in this world. We are not looking at those problems, but there are so many problems that are yet to be solved. Because often we think that most of the problems are already solved and we don't really have any more solutions. But there are so many problems, believe me when I say this. And in this process of building extensively, if you can find a solution to a bigger problem, then it can become a bigger solution. And you might also start earning from the products that you have just built on the side. So make sure that you build extensively, because only after building will you be able to choose the right company and will you be able to master that one skill that you have to. So the third step is very, very important. And in this process, you also build a portfolio for yourself, which you can showcase to your clients or to your interviewers, and also showcase it on LinkedIn. So yeah, that's all for today's video. I made this video because I realized that there's a lot of fear in the market, especially among those students who are currently in their engineering colleges, and also those students who are currently passing out. And not just students, there is fear among engineers as well who are working at junior level. I would like to just tell you one thing, there will always be fear in life. Currently, you're facing this fear of not being employed or not having enough job security. Today this is your fear, in the future there will be something else, but ultimately it's your decision whether you want to just be in that fear and stop the actions that you could probably take, or you want to face the fear and figure out a way to come out of it and become indispensable. That will make you more powerful, and that will also train your brain to face such fears in the future. Because as I said, currently AI is your biggest fear. After 5 years there can be something else that can be your biggest fear. The only way to deal with such things and not be afraid is to think logically and come up with ways that can help you kick off these fears in style. So, yeah, that's about it. I'll see you next time. Till then, take care of yourself. Bye.